All right, I believe we are going. Hello, everyone. It's Ravenhawk6910 reporting once again. It has been a hot minute since I have been able to do any sort of a layout update for you guys, and that was mostly by accident because life just got really busy the first part of the year, and I have ventured into some new things in life. I'm actually going back to college and earning my associate's degree. So I'm very excited, very nervous about that as well. But I believe things are going to go in a solid direction here over time. Nothing's going to happen immediately. But I'm still here. I'm still working on the layout, albeit whenever I can. And the main thing I want to talk to you guys about right now is hitting the 5,000 subscriber mark, which that was totally on y'all. Y'all did that for me, and I give you guys a big round of applause for that. Thank you guys so much for continuing to watch my content and support me over these years. Before I forget, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are a new viewer, and share stuff around just to let other people know about this channel and my model railroading ventures. So every little bit helps, so thank you guys so much for putting out the good word. We've got some people coming in the comments. Mr. Railyard is the first to comment. Hello there. I'm doing good. I hope you're doing this good too. Hope you all are doing well wherever you are. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this layout update. There hasn't been a whole lot. However, there has been some significant progress over by the lake. However, so if you follow me on Instagram, which by the way you absolutely should if you want more real-time updates, because I post over there quite a bit. It's Instagram/Ravenhawk6910. You can find the link in my About section on my channel. But there is some stuff over there that has happened quite a lot. So let me grab the camera here. You're going to have to forgive me. I don't have my little tripod connector doodad, so I'm not sure where it went. It just kind of vanished. So I'm either going to have to dig it out or I'm going to have to find a new one. So, you know, we'll just have to see what happens. But let me grab the camera here slowly. And we're going to venture on over here to where the lake is. So, the biggest progress, obviously, has been the inclusion of ground cover and static grass to this whole area. Unfortunately, I ran out right there. It's where I ran out of ground cover, so I'm going to have to fix that at some point. But considering most of the table now has ground cover, I'm okay with that. Now, over here by the lake is where the bulk of the static grass work was done. And you can see it right here. And this is just a mixture of various blends and lengths of grass put down with just Elmer's white glue that I used to secure it in place. And that went all the way around the base of the lake. I had to be a little careful along the edge, but I think it came out really good. Hello, Allegheny City Productions. Thank you for joining. Let me do something here. I got to make sure I'm seeing all of the comments. You'll have to forgive me. I don't live stream often enough. I think I'm seeing everybody. Thank you, Mr. Railyard. But yes, that's been the biggest change, and the reason this change was implemented fairly recently is because of the fact that, as I talked about in my first update around New Year's, the National Model Railroad Association's National Convention is going to be happening in Chattanooga in 2026. So, as part of that, they are doing articles in the NMRA Magazine for people in this area who are showcasing their layouts, me being one of them. So I wrote up an article, and there was a couple of photographers who came over representing the NMRA who took professional photos of the layout. So we're going to see that here soon. Hopefully, anyways. It's going to take time, of course. But other changes that I've done have been with these building flats right here. Now, this started out, honestly, back in February, because I found this one over at Blue Ox Trains in Roswell, Georgia. Now, this one is more of like a kit itself. It's not a true flat, but it does have some 3-dimension to it. And it actually does have wiring hookups, so you can put lights to it at some point. We'll see if I ever do that. But it was perfect to put right here on this curve. So that's where it's sat ever since I got it, and it added a little bit more to this part of the town area here. Once again, guys, be sure to hit the like button for me. It really does help. But now when we come down here, these two flats here I found on eBay. I can't remember the name of the seller, but this is actually two separate flats. And they are just made out of very thin foam board. So this one's a warehouse with a Coca-Cola sign on it. And it's pretty good. And then this one is like some form of a skyscraper. So I just put them back to back like this. And right now they're just propped up against the wall. But I'll figure out a better solution to that later on, but we'll see. Thank you. The BC Rail Power is pretty cool. They're coming back around here, so I'll give you some more looks. I've got a few BC Rail units in my collection. These two here in particular. But here are the Rapido MLW M420s. And those all have DCC and ESU lock sound. So anyways, back over to these real quick. These building flats over here are actually custom-made ones by my buddy Nick over at PGH Train Fanatic. And he sells these on his eBay store, so I bought a couple of these. In fact, there's his info right here. There you go. There's a QR code you can scan as well. That'll get you his email link. So if you guys want to check him out for building flats, he does pretty good stuff. Here's the other one. Whoops. I'll have to fix that. And this one has wiring for the light on the top. And again, they're just made on foam board, so they're very light. So Mr. Railyard has a question I wanted to ask you. How did you get interested in Canadian Pacific? Well, that is an interesting story. Because, let me turn my camera around here. The reason I got interested in CP actually occurred thanks to watching a VHS tape at the time. I want to say it was World's Greatest Train Ride Videos that put this out. Or at least this variation of it. Hello, Brian, Rock Rail fan. Good to see you. Good to see you dropping by. So anyways, but I watched that as a kid, and I believe it's actually on YouTube, but it is a trip aboard Via Rail's Canadian from Toronto to Vancouver. And they stop at a lot of the stuff, a lot of the bigger stations are covered, like Winnipeg, Edmonton, not Calgary, because that's after the reroute, but yeah, I guess it was Edmonton, yeah. And then, of course, Jasper State Park. So there's a lot of really cool stuff seen in that video. And of course, at the time, and still to this day, the Canadian was still using Bud cars made by the Bud Company in 1955 for CP. And I really liked that. I liked the F-40s on the train. And so that's kind of how I got interested in Canadian railroads in general. It's like, I got to know more about this. And so when I started dipping my toe back into HO, I decided I wanted to do Canadian stuff because it just isn't what you see down here in the South. So, but I really found an interest in it. And around the same time I got back into HO was when the CPKC merger was announced. So this was around 2021. And I have really been fascinated with CPKC. So that's why I chose to model CPKC in the modern time frame with, you know, of course, some freelance deviations to basically run whatever I want. But I'm firm with Canadian Pacific because I just really like it. I still like Canadian National too, but you know, it is just a fascinating railroad, very historic railroad. Speaking of railroad, let's give you some train shots here. Zachariah, my brother, thank you for dropping by. And yeah, I really want to ride the Canadian myself. I don't think that's going to happen, you know, before the Bud cars get replaced. But the trip in and of itself is so awesome. Hello there, August. Thank you for dropping by. But yeah, I hope that answers your question as to why I model CP, even though I'm very much born and raised in the South. So at the end of the day, I just like it. So we've got just over 10 people watching at the moment. Just be sure to hit that like button for me, guys. It really does help. So if you've got any more questions, please let me know. Trainboy1522 Productions, thank you for dropping by. Good to see each and every one of you guys today on this Thursday. Mr. Railyard says that is personally my favorite railway company. I grew up along the railroad in Chicago, and I remember watching the old Soo, Metra, and CP Rail. That's really cool, actually. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I'll tell you a story that I heard on a DVD regarding Metra and the ex-Milwaukee Road line there. I was watching a cab ride video, and they were talking about this Union Pacific track inspector who mistakenly put his high rail truck over on the old Milwaukee line rather than the ex-Chicago and Northwestern line. Apparently, he was not from the area, and all his instructions said was put on at this particular crossing, but it was the same road that crosses the Milwaukee, that crosses the Chicago and Northwestern a few miles down. So him and his assistant got in their truck, and they got in and started heading north, running left-hand main, and all of a sudden, coming around the corner at 79 miles an hour was Amtrak. They bailed. Amtrak hit their truck, and the line was shut down for about an hour or so. So, whoopsies. The Milwaukee Road is your home railroad. That's very interesting. Yeah, my phone's buzzing. Forgive me for that. Sorry if you guys picked that up in the background. But yeah, making progress on the layout slowly. Milwaukee is your anchor. I've seen concepts of a new Via Rail equipment, and I like it a lot, but what do you think of it? Well, I've seen that concept art as well. It seems like they are keeping a similar design to the Bud cars, especially with the dome sections, which I'm very glad to see, because domes have been a hallmark of the Canadian pretty much ever since it launched in 1955. So I'm glad to see they're keeping that, but time will tell whenever that does happen. Got our train coming back around here again. Gonna give you guys a run by with some horn action here. Once again, hit the like button if you guys are liking what you see. I hope you enjoy. Mr. Railyard asks, how do you feel about the Union Pacific Norfolk Southern merger fiasco? Well, you see, personally, I hope the Surface Transportation Board does not approve it. However, I will say that NS and UP have a very convincing argument. And that is the fact that they let CPKC form, and NS and UP, as well as other companies, excuse me, they spoke to the STB during those hearings and basically said, you know, this is what we think will happen. This is what we will have to do as a result of this, which is more mergers. And the Surface Transportation Board did let CPKC happen. Now, Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern can make the argument going to the STB now, saying, hey, you let CPKC happen. Why do you have a problem with us? So, we will have to see. Just bought a BC Rail red, white, and blue caboose this morning. If they can confirm it's still in stock, good luck with that. I hope you get it. Personally, myself, I feel CPKC makes a lot more sense than this merger. Well, you're right about that, Mr. Railyard, because KCS was the smallest of the Class 1s that were still standing. And the biggest asset they had was the Mexico territories and the Panama Canal Railway. And really, for CPKC to be the first and so far only single-line railroad between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, you know, we'll just have to see what time allows. But for now, my advice would be treat Norfolk Southern as if it is a dying breed, because you never know, it could become a fallen flag in a few years. I know I'm certainly going to enjoy everything that I can while I still can, regardless of what happens merger-wise. So, yeah, you guys will have to forgive me. The live stream doesn't always show all of the comments. I really need to figure out how to do that while on mobile. So, if someone will just, if I miss your question, feel free to ask it again. I just didn't get a chance to read it before it disappeared. And I'm going to show my professionalism and put my hand in front of the camera here to try to retrieve the comments. But no, the only thing it's giving me is top fans right now, which is Mr. Railyard, Train Boy Productions, I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, Train Boy 1522 Productions, and Allegheny City Productions. So, at least as far as the live stream is concerned. But no, man, I really hope the UP merger doesn't happen, but we'll see. Honestly, no, I would say my railroad is CPKC. Ideally, I would like to do the Rocky Mountains. However, I don't have the real estate down here for a grand, elaborate layout of a prototype area. You know, if I could do Rogers Pass, that would be great. But I'm not necessarily into prototype operations, and, you know, I'm the kind of guy who just likes to set up a train and run and see it run. So that's why I do freelance. What organizations do you think will buy the VIA Heritage cars when they become available? That literally could be anybody. You know, certainly I hope some museums in Canada receive donations of the cars. I hope that, you know, some of the cars will end up in the United States, hopefully. Unfortunately, I think the bulk of them will be scrapped. However, VIA does understand the historical significance of the cars. But the problem comes with finding organizations who are good caretakers for them. And VIA has sold off cars in the past. For example, one of the park cars, in fact, a handful of the park cars actually ended up down here in Chattanooga a few years ago. I think several of them went to private owners, but at least one ended up at the Hiwassee River Railroad in Delano, Tennessee, which is part of TVRM. And it is partially restored to CP Tuscan, just without the lettering. But that one is the Algonquin Park. So, and but again, that car is owned by a private owner, not by TVRM. So, you know, it is what it is. But I hope several of the VIA cars do end up preserved. You know, time will tell. Time will tell. That's all I can say. All I know is I'm glad I have my Via Rail Canadian train built up, because the cars are difficult to find. I know the bulk of mine are Walther's cars, and not necessarily 100% prototypical to the Rapido ones, but they look just as good. So there you go. So we are sitting at about 23 minutes. Do you guys have any more questions? Anything y'all want to see while I'm still on here? Anything you want to know? Type it in the comments, please. Because, yeah, I haven't done a whole lot with the layout, but I have done enough to warrant an update. So, and I'm looking forward to doing more to the layout during the lead up to the National Convention in 2026. So, and by all means, if any of y'all come down to Chattanooga for the convention, it's going to be the last week of July, the first week of August, 2026. Please come down, check out the train show, register for some of the events if you are interested in that. And if you're doing any of the layout tours, come and see me, because I will be doing an open house. Oh boy, do I still do O-Scale? No, I do not. So as a member of the full... No, the comment's going away. Son of a gun. Here we go. So as a member of the Full Buccaneers, how do you feel about our show coming back? And what would you want to see? This is a very, very good question. So, for those of you who do not know, the Full Buccaneers, it was a series that was made by Luke Iverson, in the early YouTube days, 2008, 2009-ish. It is now on a comeback by other content creators. And recently I have been selected to voice one of the characters in that show. I'm not going into elaborate details because I don't even have the script yet. So I can't tell you what I don't know. But having watched a couple of the episodes that are out now, and I really like what I'm seeing. Real quick, August, I don't do regularly scheduled streaming sessions simply because, I have my own life that I do. I like doing live streams, but they're very sporadic. I am more of a regular content creator that posts shorts, regular videos, and occasionally live streams. But if you are interested in this channel by any means, please hit the subscribe button. It does help. Zach is happy to have you on the team. That's great. Zach seems like he's doing a very good job with the series. I really liked what I saw, and I'm happy to see the series continue because, it was such a nostalgia trip for me. I remember watching all of the original episodes when it first aired on YouTube. And I really wanted to, do a voice acting role, sort of like that. And I'm very thankful that I eventually ended up fulfilling that dream with San Juan Branch Line and now the full Buccaneers. So, we will see, but I'm very looking forward to it. I'm very happy with what I've seen so far, and I hope that Zach and the team continues to do nothing but the best, because that would be incredible. So, there you go, guys. So, yeah. By the way, I'm the Scottish guy from the pilot. I see. Noted. So, but yeah, guys, that's just about it. Expect content to come out when I can do it. I'm not going to just drop everything and do nothing like I had to do before. And I do apologize about that, but, like I said, life gets in the way. But I'm very happy to be going back to college now, getting my associate's degree in digital media design and production. And I look forward to what the future holds. So, and I can't wait to take you guys along with me. So, anyways, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next layout update, the next review video, possibly, next rail fanning video. I do have some rail fanning videos that I'm compiling into one bigger one, and I will see you guys very soon down the road. This is Ravenhawk6910, signing off.